Another part of Bend is having all these people in community that enjoy doing the same thing and want to suffer together, and that's pretty much what Hood to Coast is. You're piled in a van, maybe you know the people, maybe you don't, and you become best friends with them by the end because it's sweaty, smelly, small, condensed van, and all you're doing is driving, maybe sleeping an hour, and running. And that's how you create really strong friendships, and it's actually how Jack and I became best friends. And 2 summers ago, we did a relay light together, and it just makes it really tight.
This race, Hood to Coast, this will be my 5th time, I think, 4th or 5th time running Hood to Coast. And every year I say I'm never doing it again, and then it comes time and everyone gets all excited about it, and I can't resist because it is, I think, like, for me, the race in itself is such an experience, but for me, I love it just because of the training that leads up to it. Like, those months leading up to Hood to Coast are what are most memorable for me because you're training, you're getting together with your team and kind of bonding. And I think the race is kind of just like an added bonus. Like, once you're there, it's super fun, but what's really awesome about these races is the time that you get to spend prepping for them. And it really kind of just like forces you to get outside and train on days when you might not want to otherwise.
Right around the time that that Abby reached out and asked me if I wanted to be part of this team, I had just gotten my ankle injury. I had been out for a long run the previous day and came back, felt fine, did 12 miles, felt totally fine. And the next day, my ankle was just completely swollen. And I was like, that's bizarre. Took a few days off, didn't get better. Turned out it was a stress fracture in my ankle. Over the last 3 to 4 months, I've just been focusing on doing a lot of strength exercises, a lot of boring band work, a lot of mobility, stretching, cross training. I've been on the stationary bike, which I have a love-hate relationship with. So I've been doing all of those things to get me ready to run 3 to 4 times in a 24-hour period at Hood to Coast.
We're gonna go out for just a little training jog this morning and run around the neighborhood. So we're making a little post-run recovery smoothie. I like to do some banana in there, some protein powder. I'm doing a couple different types today, but I really like to make sure I'm prioritizing both protein and carbohydrate right after I run. I think nutrition is one of those things that a lot of people kind of put on the back burner. They don't think really impacts their training when it's really one of the most important things. Because when we're running out there, when we're training, we're breaking our bodies down. So we want to make sure that we're repairing our muscle, giving our body the energy it needs so that we can get back out and run again tomorrow. So, yeah.
So we're here today at the Oregon Trail Wagon Roads Access, half a mile from my house, and gonna take the dogs out for a little run. I haven't been running for the last 2.5 months though, because I'm a commercial fisherman and I've been on a boat for the last 6 weeks. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm usually used to running 10 to 12 miles. So we'll hopefully get back to that before the race. We're out in BLM land too, so the dogs can run free. It's a great way for me to get out and also let the dogs get out.
About 3 years ago, I was mountain biking and I crashed, and it wasn't at all a hard crash or anything. I went over the handlebars, but I landed in a pretty soft fern. Didn't really think much of it. I went and saw an orthopedic surgeon and they said everything looked fine, and then I went to a PT and they said everything looked fine. No one really was able to kind of nail it down. And it turns out I just had a lot of muscle imbalance from kind of favoring one side and not the other side. And after seeing an orthopedic surgeon here in Bend, it turns out it's just some cartilage damage. And so I've been working with a PT here, just trying to kind of increase strength and increase stability.
I kind of got into running originally because my parents were both climbers. They met that way. That's kind of how we went on trips. Every time we escaped school and home, we went to the mountains and got really into running, ended up running in college. And since being in Bend, I've been really excited about doing trail racing and road racing. So yeah, it's been a really cool way to connect with the community. And yeah, climbing is a good way to kind of do cross training and get to do that social aspect. So yeah, it's been great.
I love climbing because it really helps me maintain a lot of mental focus. Like when I'm on the wall or on the crag, it's a different level of focus that, you know, I do get from running, but from anything else, it kind of gets everything else that I'm worried about, any anxieties, any other kind of concerns or anything out of my head. And it lets me just really just be me and the wall and my friends around me. It's also, yeah, a really good way to get in, work my arms a little bit, since a lot of the sports that I do are mainly focused on legs. And yeah, just kind of a fun way to get a really good workout without, just lifting in the gym or anything like that.
It's actually funny. I grew up club swimming, and towards the end of high school, I decided I didn't want to swim anymore, and so I started running track at the very end of my senior year. And decided I really loved that sport. So I took that the next 6 years and kind of took it from the track to the road, and eventually wound up on the trails and was running rather competitively. I ended up getting sick from something unrelated to running, and it led to some injuries, and I wasn't able to run for a couple of years, which is when I found the bike. So in many ways, the bike kind of gave me the ability to access the outdoors again, and eventually would lead to me being able to run again. Running can be a lot of load on the body at times. It's an eccentric type of load through your muscles, and the bike's different in that it's often considered non-weight bearing, and it's really concentric. So you're building muscle in a different way, and it's really supportive of your overall strength while building a nice, rather massive aerobic base. So the bike, both my mountain bike and my gravel bike, have been pretty influential in training for trail running, and then events like Hood to Coast are kind of a nice added bonus.